revealing the truth, one fact at a time, without all the BS. This is the American Liberty Radio Network.
Hey folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce for American Liberty Radio Network. How are you? Are you good? Are you happening? Are you there? Are you as tired of the contention as I am? In other words, you got people out there who just, seem to think that as far as, or as long as there's people wanting peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation, they have to contend, they have to protest, they have to, they have to cancel or I wouldn't say cancel, but push for a cancellation of or a complete, disregard for anyone's freedom of speech. Now, this past week or so, conservative talk show host and conservative contributor to Fox News, I believe it's Fox News, Ann Coulter, an author, she's fantastic, she canceled her speech at Berkeley. Well, somebody else came up and gave her speech. Now, let me ask you a question. Here you are, you're living in a free country, you're living in a country where freedom is like one of the four foundational backbones of America. I've said it before, peace, freedom, liberty, and security. Those are the four foundational, concepts of this country. But freedom is like at the top of the list. So my question to you is, how do you define freedom? How do you define freedom? Now, when you look at freedom, when you look at all of these aspects of freedom, when you examine every single thing that you would consider to be free, how do you define freedom? How do you define freedom? I define freedom as making your own choices, making your own decisions, going where you want, when you want, how you want, without ever having to show your papers. Except for crossing the border into Canada and Mexico, you're pretty much free to go anywhere in the U.S. you want to. To me, I also have a defined reason to be a free person. And that reason is because I want to. Now, a lot of people come to this country looking for freedom, looking for those areas where they can do more than what they have in their own country. And I can tell you this, that as these people come to this country, as these people join in celebration of freedom, we have to help not only ourselves understand why they're here, but understand what freedom means to us. And then look at the facts and judge the definition or judge the correlation between what other people want as freedom and what we want as freedom, and do they coincide with one another? Do they agree? Do we have affinity with other people in their definition of freedom? So we really have to think about this. Now, with complete freedom, you would have a portion of our lives dedicated to getting whatever we want. That is complete and utter freedom. No driver's license, no permit to carry a weapon, no nothing, just free to do whatever. Just walk into a store, grab whatever we want, and walk out without paying for it, whatever. That is not freedom. Having that much, what you would define in that regard as freedom, having that much or too much or a complete undermining of accountability is not freedom. And eventually you turn into Venezuela. What we look at, what we have, what we define as freedom is, well, not only on a personal level, but like I said, if we have an affinity with somebody who wants the same things as us, I think we're doing good. I think we're doing good. Now, what is liberty? Okay. What is liberty? Is liberty something that we can relate to when it comes to the United States of America and how we managed to come this far? Is that what it is? I mean, is that freedom and liberty together? Well, let me do one thing while I'm sitting here thinking about it. Let's go to dictionary.com. I will give you the definition of what they would determine to be the word liberty. And then we'll go from there. It's a noun, plural liberties, freedom from arbitrary or despotic government or control. Okay, this is under liberty at dictionary.com. Freedom from external or foreign rule, independence, freedom from control, interference, obligation, restriction, hampering, condition, etc., power or right of doing, thinking, speaking, etc., according to choice. Idioms, at liberty, free from captivity or restraint. It's a noun. Liberty, the power of choosing, thinking, and acting for oneself. Freedom from control or restriction, the right or privilege of access to a particular place or freedom. The word origin and history of freedom, or excuse me, the word origin and history of liberty is the late 14th century. Free choice, freedom to do as one chooses, from Old French, liberté, freedom, liberty, free will. 14th century from Latin, libertatum, nominative libertas, freedom, condition of a free man, absence of restraint, permission, or liber, which is free. So that's liberty. Freedom is a state of being free or at liberty rather than in confinement or under physical constraint, political or national independence. Personal liberty is opposed to bondage or slavery, the absence of or release from ties, obligations, etc. So there we go. I oftentimes wonder what went through the minds of my ancestors in 1774, 5, 6. I wonder sometimes what went through the minds of my relatives in the Civil War of 1861 to 1865, because they were in the North, to set people free. The purpose of liberty is to be free, to be independent of any rule, to be who we are, to be who we are for ourselves, to do the best we can with what we have, without restraint or confinement, as it said. And when a person decides if a person or a group decides they do not want to be enslaved, or they see others enslaved and they want to engage in making them free, a question comes to mind. How do they do that? How do they do that? How do they make that decision to be free? The environment usually tells you that you're in, whether or not you're free or liberated or unconfined or unrestricted to do whatever you want. Your environment, whatever your environment is, that doesn't necessarily mean the four seasons or, all of that. It means the people around you. It means those who are in your life, and whatever decisions they make are reflected in your actions. Now that's a long way of saying you've learned how to be confined. You've learned how to be constricted. You've learned how to be pretty much a slave. So liberty and freedom go hand in hand. Liberty and freedom go hand in hand. Okay? Liberty and freedom go hand in hand because they are related. They are related in the very nature of what they truly are. They are related to one another. They interchange with one another. Because that's what they are. Liberty and freedom are two sides of one coin, if I were to use that metaphor. They don't oppose one another. They never have. And my point of this 15-minute introduction to the show is this. You have people out there who will say that liberty and freedom is no more of a reality than the best fantasy that you have. There's going to be people out there telling you that there is no such thing as liberty and freedom unless the environment dictates to you what that is. No, folks. You yourself have defined within yourselves what liberty and freedom is. Now, if you don't believe that, you go back to about 13 to 1400s, actually a little bit later, now probably 1450s to 1500s, and you can see the people coming from other countries into this continent. It wasn't even called North America at that time. It was called something else. I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe there was no name. I don't remember. But it wasn't Christopher Columbus who discovered America in 1492. It was Amerigo Vespucci. Now, if you don't believe that, then your history books are lying to you. Christopher Columbus discovered Puerto Rico. But I'm sure him and his crew came over to this continent, and they discovered it. And then when you read about the history, you find out that there were people here anyway. So those people discovered it. And when you go back further, it wasn't so much discovered, it was just the land bridge between Russia and Alaska was there, and people walked over and came, from the north down into this open area. So anyway, I don't want to give you a huge geographic history of the North American continent, but you can do your research and figure it out on your own, I'm sure. But getting back to the people, going back to the Magna Carta, going back to the, all of these charters and all of these documents that show that people wanted to be free, and finally culminating in 1773 when people in Boston decided, screw King George, we're not going to be taxed anymore. And it was a rebellion against taxation is what it was. And so they threw the tea in the harbor, and the British Empire is going, whoa, wait a minute. King George then sent military over here to do one thing, to suppress the uprising. Okay. This is what he did. This is his orders to the British Empire, to the British Army that came over here. But guess what? 3% of the population back then kicked their ass and sent them back home. Okay, 3 to 5%, somewhere around in there. We became a nation with the signatures on the Declaration of Independence. We became a nation in 1776. We did not become a country until 1791. Okay. I should say country in terms of government and all of that entails. December 15th, 1791, the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights was ratified in Congress. So there you go. That's a very brief history of the United States. But it's a long explanation of freedom and liberty because of the fact that we ourselves individually, spiritually, whatever you want to call us, we are free individuals. We can do whatever we want within reason, within common sense, understanding personal responsibility and accountability. That is where we are today. Unfortunately, and I chuckle, because unfortunately there are people who do not want us to be free, do not want us to be liberated, do not want us to do what we want to do, do not want... Shall I go on? I think you understand and get my point. But at some point, we're going to have to have peace. A state of mutual harmony between people or groups, especially in personal relations. An agreement or treaty between warring antagonistic nations and groups, etc., to end hostilities and abstain from further fighting or antagonism. Freedom of the mind from annoyance, distraction, anxiety, and obsession. Tranquility and serenity is, of course, peace. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to make this very, very clear. We do not have peace in the United States. We do not have peace in the United States. We have unrest. We have an ecumenical unrest. We have a physical unrest. We have political unrest. We have financial unrest. We are completely at the behest of our environment. Our environment has stated and dictated to us that we have to continually be in a state of unrest for whatever reason. We have to be in a state of mass hysteria for whatever reason, when in fact all of this can be brought to an end by declaring our liberty and freedom from the constraints and restrictions of federal government, period. And when I say federal government, I'm also meaning the state and county governments as well. But again, common sense, logic, reason, these all play a part in having that ultimate freedom and liberty that we so choose and desire, or desire and choose, whichever way you want to use it. Semantics. So when we go about our business, when we go about our business within our environment, within the confines of our society and our situations in life, we have to understand one very valuable thing: that there's always going to be contention. There is always going to be conflict. There is always going to be someone, somewhere, for some reason, that is going to attempt to stop you in some way, shape, or form. There's no question about it. There's absolutely no question about it. There's always going to be contention. Always. Doesn't matter. Sorry, I was typing. Now, here's something. Sorry for the silence. I was reading something. Now, here's something that is quite interesting. In terms of who we are as a society, in terms of how we are as a group of people desiring liberty and freedom, and of course the ultimate peace that is the result of that, we have to go back in history and really see those folks and see people who, and groups of people, of course, who never wanted others to have peace and freedom and liberty. We have to go back in history and look at this. There's no question about it. And when we look at other people in our history, one name pops up every so often, and his name is Albert Pike. He predicted 3 world wars. We've already had 2. Albert Pike received a vision when he described in a letter that he wrote to Manzini, dated the 15th of August, 1871. This letter graphically outlined plans for 3 world wars that were seen as necessary to bring about the one world order, and we can marvel at how accurately it has predicted events that have already taken place. Now, who is Albert Pike? I'll tell you. He was born the 29th of December, 1809 in Boston. Pike was said to be a genius, able to read and write in 16 different languages. And he is widely accused of plagiarism, of course. He was a 33rd degree Mason. He was one of the founding fathers and head of an ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, being the Grand Commander of North American Freemasonry in 1859, and retained that position until his death in 1891. In 1869, he was the top leader of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Incidentally, Freemason itself is a fascinating subject. I am going to put, I've just highlighted a few things within that, so I'm going to put the link up on American Liberty Radio Podcast for all you folks to take a look at, because history from that environment, from that particular environment, okay, from that particular environment, history was going to be a lot different than what we have today. Okay. I can tell you this much. Most of the things in our environment that have in the past been predicted for today have come true. I don't want to hear all these detractors or naysayers that say, well, you can look back today on all those prophecies and just insert whatever you want in them. Yeah, you're not seeing the whole picture there. Okay? You're not. So the fact of the matter is that Albert Pike literally formed a system, or I should say, formed a concept from his particular environment, which, of course, today we would call the New World Order. Okay? Are we on the same page here? We the people, you and I, want peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation of the United States of America, period. End of sentence. We want the borders closed. We want the Muslims out. By the way, 1952, Muslims were banned from being in the United States, so I don't know where the hell that went and why we aren't enforcing it, but we need them out of here. We need all the enemies of freedom, peace, liberty, and security of this nation out of here. We need them gone. Why? Some of you bleeding heart liberals out there would say, well, what do you want them to do? Go back to their crappy countries? Yeah. Well, what are they going to do back there? The same thing our people did in the 15, 16, and 1700s. Fight for freedom in their own country, period. It took a small band of people in Boston to go to the harbor and dump tea into the river because they were rebelling against taxes from King George, okay? And that started the whole ball rolling in over years and years and years up to the point of 1871, but I get it. I digress. But people need to fight in their own country for the freedoms they want and desire and deserve. Period. Each individual deserves to be have liberty and freedom within themselves, within the environment that they are in. They cannot and will not and should not put up with the environment dictating to them what their lives should be, would be, can be, and must be. Period. End of sentence. End of sentence. I'll be back in 2 minutes. American Liberty Radio Network, AmericanLibertyRadio.com, American Liberty Radio at USA.com. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS. You know what you want. You want the truth. You want the facts. without all the BS. American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Distorted Reality. I am your host, Nick Tucker, and I welcome you to the broadcast.
Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. DistortedReality.podbean.com and Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on American Liberty Radio Network.
There's a show that's not afraid to ask questions no one else will ask. Not afraid to say
what no one else will say.
Friday nights at 7 p.m. Listen to Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie, where no topic is off limits. Conspiracy theories, paranormal activities, hoaxes, the unexplained. It's what we talk about. Question everything. Trust no one. Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Friday at 7 p.m. on the KCOR Digital Radio Network out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!"
American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Hey, folks. This is American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Hey, if you want to help keep the lights on around here, you can do that if you'd like. You can advertise on American Liberty Radio Network by going to, for more information, of course, go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page right there on the website, or right on that sponsors page, become a patron. Drop $1 in the kitty to help us keep the lights on around here. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You are awesome. Welcome. It is the 29th of April, 2017. How you doing? Yeah, the first segment was a little history. Just a little something for you guys to think about. But let me go here. Let me get into some news here. Let me get into some stuff happening, going on, and all of that. I just think our honeymoon with Trump is over. Trump using executive orders at unprecedented pace. The rash of executive orders underlines Trump's focus on reversing as much of Obama administration's policy agenda as he can. The globalists say that Trump is more dangerous than Hitler. I doubt that. The Hill is reporting the 29th of April 2017. President Trump signed the 30th executive order of his presidency on Friday, capping off a whirlwind period that produced more orders in his first 100 days than any president since Harry Truman. The rash of executive orders underlines Trump's focus on reversing as much of the Obama administration's policy agenda as he can, even as the new administration struggles to find legislative victories in Congress. It fits Trump's showman persona as well. Signing ceremonies for his orders are often in the Oval Office or in a well-furnished executive building, and see the president surrounded by administration officials, members of Congress, or everyday Americans who Trump says he's trying to help. Trump and his aides have touted the orders as they have put a shine on his first 100 days in office. So that one's going up there. It says read more, so that one's going on American Liberty Radio Podcast. Hey, check out Mr. Nick Tucker, if you would, please. His current podcasts are up at distortedreality.podbean.com. Hopefully things get a little better for him. He's taking a little hiatus. Some personal situations happening and, situations going on. We all have them. He had to take a few days, a few weeks, just take a little time for himself, his family, that kind of thing, Nothing bad, but send some positive vibes and prayers his way if you'd like. Thank you very much. Go to Mr. Nick Tucker at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook and gab.ai. And also, go to distortedreality.podbean.com and wish him well. Now, quote, the CIA has been deeply humiliated, unquote. Ron Paul interviews Julian Assange. This is a preemptive move by the CIA to try and discredit our publications. Zero Hedge, 29th April 2017. Having blasted the Trump administration for their hypocritical flip-flop for loving WikiLeaks to arrest Assange, Ron Paul made his feelings very clear on what this signals. Quote, if we allow this president to declare war on those who tell the truth, we have only ourselves to blame, unquote. Today, he sits down with WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange for a live interview. Quote, the CIA has been deeply humiliated as a result of our ongoing publications, so this is a preemptive move by the CIA to try to discredit our publications and create a new category for WikiLeaks and other national security reporters to strip them of their First Amendment protections, unquote. Assange said in a preview clip from the interview below. And there's the full interview is right there on the page. I'm going to put that link on American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook. So please check it out if you would. Thank you. Appreciate that. I was talking about freedom and liberty in the first segment. We don't need no damn license in our pocket to carry a weapon to protect ourselves. We have the Second Amendment, ratified by Congress, 15th of December, 1791, period, end of sentence. What? What purpose? For hunting? No. For target shooting? No. Although those are great things to do, but when you read the writings of our founding fathers and the people that wrote and signed the Constitution of the United States of America, they put the Second Amendment in there to protect us from a tyrannical government. That was the number one reason why they put it in there. Trump declares 8-year assault on Second Amendment over. Quote, you came through for me and I'm going to come through for you, unquote. On Friday, President Trump delivered a speech to the National Rifle Association at its 2017 Leadership Forum in Atlanta. This marks the first time a sitting president has done so since Ronald Reagan in 1983. Triumphantly, Trump told the enthusiastic crowd, quote, the 8-year assault on your Second Amendment freedoms has come to a crashing end. You have a true friend and champion in the White House, unquote. Quote, you came through for me and I'm going to come through for you, unquote, he added. Trump spent the early part of his speech thanking the NRA for backing his candidacy and helping him win the White House. He promised, quote, you're my friends, believe me, to the NRA I can proudly say I will never ever let you down, unquote. The president thanked the NRA for its activism for the military, law enforcement, defending the American flag, and the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. He was able to rouse much applause during his speech, especially when mentioning his cabinet members. He certainly raised the roof when he called out Pocahontas, a.k.a. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts, warning she could be a candidate for the in 2020 who is, quote, is not big for the NRA, unquote. So it has a historic day. It was a historic day for Trump, and a day where gun rights were fully endorsed by the White House. 8 years was much too long. Watch the president's full speech above. There's a video there. I'm going to put that on there so you guys can listen to that and watch that if you'd like. Folks, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to point my fingers right at those people that call themselves liberals. You don't know what true liberalism is, folks. You don't know what true liberalism is. You have absolutely no idea, period. That's you don't, okay? This article here, on the unprecedented rate of executive orders he's done in the last 100 days. I want you folks, without going into huge, massive detail about this, I want you folks to understand one thing. Washington, D.C., as a whole, as of 1871, has become a huge, massive fraud against the American people. The United States of America was founded with the principles of peace, freedom, liberty, and security. Let me say that one more time. The principles by which the United States of America was formed are peace, freedom, liberty, and security, period. I don't give one rip what you people on the opposite side of the aisle or your opposite views are, because you are the dumbest people on the face of the planet. I'll tell you why. You may want peace, freedom, liberty, and security, but you want it in a more Marxist, communistic way to where everyone is suppressed except you, that no one else has the First Amendment right to freedom of speech except you, that no one else can carry guns except you, that no one else has any rights whatsoever. You want to get rid of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and set up something to where you are the only ones that have any freedom whatsoever. And it's not going to be freedom, because you have to comply and compromise your values to be in such an environment. So to all those naysayers, to all those people who are against peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation, why don't you pack your crap and get the hell out of the United States and go to a country that fits your political philosophies? We don't need you here. We don't care about you at all, because you are against peace, freedom, liberty, and security for this nation. Patriots like myself, like political prisoner Pete Santilli, and others like Michael Savage and Brian Lang and Nick Tucker and Alex Jones, we all want peace, freedom, liberty, and security for this nation. And we do not want, and I can only speak for myself with this, I myself do not want a centralized government. Our founding fathers warned us about it. Don't have a centralized government, don't have a centralized banking system, don't have a centralized military, but guess what we have as of 2017? We have all three. A military-industrial complex, a prison-industrial complex. We have a centralized government of Marxist, fascist dictators that just absolutely don't care about the liberties of the people. We have a central banking system with its enforcer, the IRS, telling us that we have to pay taxes. When Harry Reid several years ago said that he said this in an interview, that he said taxes are voluntary, and the interview asked him, well, people go to jail if they don't pay them. Yeah, they do. But taxes are voluntary. Yes, they are. What's the hypocrisy there, folks? We need to repeal the Act of 1871. We need to repeal the Internal Revenue Act, and we need to repeal the Federal Reserve Act, and we need to seriously limit limit our military's presence in the world, period. You know what we've become in the last 150 years, folks? We've become the bullies of the world, not the police of the world. We've become the bullies of the world. Former military intelligence officers have come out and said they were ones who overthrew countries, overthrew them, folks, not go in and negotiate terms and treaties and humanitarian aid and commerce. No. The military went in and overthrew countries, folks. The United States military-industrial complex is the biggest bullies in the world, along with our allies. Our allies are looking at us going, whoa, wait a minute, we don't want no part of this. Can you say Israel? I think Israel is tied to the military-industrial complex of the United States and Europe because they're a small country and they need help. But they themselves can take care of themselves quite well and have for thousands of years. But then people are saying, well, the true Israelites, the true people of that land are the Palestinians. If you go back in biblical history and blah, 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 and look it all up and the culture and this, yeah, I have, folks. Bottom line, folks, is they're all human beings and they deserve to have peace and freedom in their lives and have liberty within their, within their countries, amongst themselves. We're never going to stop all-out war against anyone that disagrees with us. We're always going to find ourselves on the defensive because we have to have peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the United States of America. And each individual deserves to have it. But you're always going to have other people in complete contention and conflict to that. It's not going to stop, folks. And Christians, just go stay in the corner and believe your illusions. I'm not denying the fact that you folks don't know what you're doing or saying and you're not educated enough to do. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is stand aside, let the people that know what's going on deal with what's going on, because most Christians are intolerant of anything that has anything to do with peace, freedom, liberty, and security. Yes, I said it. Now you can criticize me. Most Christians will not leave people alone. Most Christians will try to indoctrinate their beliefs into someone and use fear and intimidation when that person doesn't fall in line. Get with the program. Oh, I've heard that in my life, folks. From someone from the United Pentecostal Church International. Yeah. The ones that wear the long dresses and the women wear the long hair and the long dresses and the denim dresses and all. Yes, folks. Heard that. Once you get with the program and get in line and you'll find that everything, no, folks. About 80% of all Christians that I know of, 80%, I give or take about 5%. About 80% of the Christians I know in my life, from California to other people that I've talked to around the country, 80% of them, folks, are cowards. They won't stick up for America at all. And I know this. Yeah, you got Christians in the military. Yeah, but they're following orders, folks. They're following orders. That's what they're doing. But we need to step back. We need to look at this objectively. We need to take everybody, I don't care who you are, we need to take everybody and just talk it out. We need to say, okay, we need a plan. We need to do this. The first thing on our list of things to do is defend ourselves against those that don't want anybody else to have peace, freedom, and security for this nation. Period. And that includes domestic enemies. Domestic enemies of the Constitution, domestic enemies of the Declaration of Independence, domestic enemies of the concepts of peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the United States of America. We need to defend ourselves against them immediately. And this goes true with any other country whose citizens deserve to have peace and liberty and freedom in their lives. Because their countries sure in the hell aren't secure. But the more that you have peace, freedom, liberty, the more security you'll have. Because people will then use that common sense they have in the present tense to defend their country from enemies, foreign and domestic. Period. That is the logical way of that it is. Okay? You don't need more liberty. You don't need more freedom. You need enough to come together to look at the situation and say, how can we defend ourselves? How can we do what we do? What can we do? Let's plan this out. And Christians, I know you mean well, but enough. Stop sitting so passively in your pews and sitting there thinking that you're going to move God's heart in a way that he's going to come down and just wipe out all the evil on the planet. That ain't going to happen, folks. That's not going to happen. You have feet, you have a head, you have arms, you have hands, you have the ability to think and interpret and make things work for you. It's not going to be some magic wand out of heaven that's going to, be waved all over you and you guys are just going to be, everything's just going to fall away and you're going to be raptured into heaven. That's not going to work, folks. There's a fraud in that as well. And in another podcast, I'll talk about the fraud of the rapture, okay? But right now, today, on the 29th of April 2017, talk about peace, freedom, liberty, and security for the nation of the United States of America begins with you, begins with each individual who deserves liberty and freedom. And to be living in peaceful harmony with other people. And if that's not working, find a way to get rid of all the negative stuff. Well, not all of it, because, you can't get rid of all of it. Because there's always going to be conflict and conflagrations and contentions from people who don't want you to have peace, freedom, liberty, and security. Okay. That's just the way it is. Had to get some water, folks. Folks, I may go into overdrive today. I don't know. I got 7 minutes to figure it out. FCC Chairman Pai, quote, "We need an open and free internet for the 21st century," unquote. Quote, "The internet is the greatest free market success in American history," unquote. Yes. I read that headline. I'm going to put it on American Liberty Radio podcast for all you guys to take a gander at. China, you better be listening because your people want peace, freedom, liberty, and freedom. Peace, freedom, liberty, and security, excuse me. They want to be free. I know a lot of people coming over here and they're saying, well, it's not that bad. Really? Do you not think that people have common sense enough to be able to do the right thing? Maybe Beijing is dictating to people how they should be. Sounds like something familiar. House oversight testimony, quote, "America has spoken. We want the wall built right away," unquote. "Central campaign promise must be fulfilled as soon as possible." I'm going to put that up on American Liberty Radio podcast for all you guys to take a gander at. Now, Seattle gives city workers time off to attend anti-Trump protests. City council passes resolution requiring supervisors to grant leave to, quote, unquote, resist Trump. Yeah. I was going to say something, that's why I went silent, but I refuse to even go there. I just refuse to even go there. I'll just leave that right there in American Liberty Radio podcast for all you guys to look at. No, I'm not going to go in overdrive, but I will ask you a question. In my next podcast coming up on Monday, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to take a look at? What do you want me to discuss? You can email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. You can also go to American Liberty Radio Podcast and pop in a question or a comment there as well. What do you want me to talk about? Okay. I know what I'm going to be talking about Monday, but that's only going to fill up probably, 20 minutes of the whole show. So, anyway, what do you want me to talk about? American Liberty Radio at USA.com, American Liberty Radio at USA.com. You can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com for more information. Drop $1 in the kitty, folks. I got to keep the lights on around here. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to the sponsors page. Become a patron. Click that link, and there you go. Or you can advertise on the network if you'd like. All the information is right there. There's some additional information that I'd like to share with you, but you can email me and ask. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. If by some chance, folks, by some fluke of within this political environment, something happens and we have peace, freedom, liberty, and security for this nation, that's going to be a day of true freedom, of true liberty, of true independence from the likes of George Soros and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all these. The folks that have constructed this concept of a new world order are failing miserably every single day. And the more that you push against them, push them over the cliff into the abyss of blackness where they came from, the better off you and I are going to be. Now, in another podcast, I'll talk about the prophecies and prognostications of certain people in history that have told us what was going to happen. But my reply to that is, we can change history. Prophecies are only views of what could be, not what will be. And we can change those things. I've studied them out, folks. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. If you saw something coming and you had the opportunity and the ability to change your future, I know you would. So, think about that one for a minute. Folks, it's always great to come to you, and I really want to hear from you. So go to American Liberty Radio Podcast on Facebook, or email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. And, let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you want me to talk about, anything. So, folks, I got to get out of here. AmericanLibertyRadio.com is the website. AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com is the email address. Ask me anything you like. No question is off limits. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. It's that simple, folks. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Sharing the truth one fact at a time without all the BS.